History is filled with kings born into power. But every once in a while, a man appears who creates his own throne. A man who rises from obscurity, commands armies, and reshapes the destiny of nations. But what makes the story of Napoleon Bonaparte so fascinating is not just how high he rose, it is how unlikely his rise truly was. Because Napoleon was not born French royalty. He wasn't even born in France. Napoleon Bonaparte was born in 1769 on the small Mediterranean island of Corsica. Just months before his birth, the island had been taken over by France. This meant that Napoleon grew up as something unusual, a French citizen who didn't quite feel French. When he was sent to school in mainland France, the other boys mocked him. His accent sounded strange, his background seemed foreign, and he came from a relatively modest, noble family. Napoleon was often isolated, but instead of breaking him, loneliness sharpened him. He turned inward, studying military history, reading about great conquerors like Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar. Quietly, Napoleon began forming an idea in his mind. One day, he too would change the course of history. Then, in 1789, something happened that would shake France to its core: the French Revolution. The monarchy collapsed, the old order was destroyed, and suddenly the rigid hierarchy that kept young officers like Napoleon in the background disappeared. Chaos filled the country, but where others saw instability, Napoleon saw opportunity. At just 24 years old, Napoleon was given command of French artillery during a major conflict, the Siege of Toulon. The city had fallen into the hands of royalists supported by British forces. Most commanders saw an impossible battle. Napoleon saw a simple military puzzle. He studied the battlefield carefully. Then he made a bold decision. Instead of attacking the city directly, he focused on capturing the high ground controlling the harbor. It worked. The British fleet was forced to retreat. Toulon fell, and suddenly, France began noticing the young officer who had saved the day. But Napoleon's rise did not stop there. A few years later, Paris erupted in rebellion. Royalist forces threatened the revolutionary government. Panic spread through the city. The government turned to Napoleon. His solution was brutally simple. He placed artillery cannons in the streets, and when the rebel army advanced, he fired. The rebellion was crushed within hours. Paris was saved, and Napoleon became a national hero. But here is where the story becomes even more fascinating. Napoleon was not only a soldier, he was a master strategist of perception. He understood something powerful. Victory in war is important, but victory in public opinion is even more powerful. So he began shaping his image carefully. Stories of his victories spread across France. Paintings showed him as a fearless commander. Newspapers praised his genius. Napoleon was not just winning battles, he was building a legend. In 1796, Napoleon received command of the French army in Italy. At the time, this army was poorly supplied, exhausted, and discouraged. Most commanders would have seen this as a punishment. Napoleon saw it as his stage. He gathered the soldiers and delivered a speech they would never forget. He told them, "You are hungry and poorly clothed, but I will lead you to the richest plains in the world." The soldiers believed him. Then Napoleon did something extraordinary. Within a single year, he defeated several larger armies. Battle after battle, victory after victory. Europe began to realize something unsettling. France had found a military genius. Napoleon returned to France as a national icon. Crowds admired him, politicians feared him, The army adored him. But Napoleon had grown restless. He no longer wanted to serve the government. He wanted to lead it. And soon, opportunity arrived again. France was still unstable. Political corruption spread through the government. People were losing faith in their leaders. Napoleon understood something critical. The country was ready for someone strong to take control. In 1799, Napoleon made his boldest move. He organized a political coup. Using the support of the military, he overthrew the government. But instead of declaring himself king, Napoleon chose a different title, First Consul. Officially, France was still a republic, but in reality, Napoleon now held absolute power. Just a few years later, Napoleon made his final symbolic move. In 1804, during a grand ceremony in Paris, he crowned himself Emperor of France. But the moment that shocked everyone was this. When the crown was presented to him, Napoleon did not allow anyone to place it on his head, not even the Pope. Instead, he took the crown with his own hands and placed it on his own head. It was a message to the world. His power did not come from tradition or royal blood or religion. His power came from his own ambition and ability. Napoleon Bonaparte rose from an obscure island outsider to the most powerful man in Europe. His rise changed the map of the continent, and his influence still shapes modern law, politics, and military strategy. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Napoleon's story is this. He did not wait for history to give him a role. He created one. Greatness rarely comes from perfect beginnings. Often it begins with disadvantage, rejection, and obscurity. But the person who studies, prepares, and seizes opportunity when it appears can rise higher than anyone ever expected. History does not always belong to those born powerful. Sometimes it belongs to those bold enough to take it.